Well, how did I do again this week? No knock at the door. Zone 3, which is absolutely normal. Now, if you remember last week, I didn't have an absolute clue on Tuesday where to go. I had no idea at all where to go, which is why I asked for your guys' help. So thanks for all the coordinates you submitted. That was a great help because I think the average that we had a look at on Saturday was somewhere between where I've gone and where the actual winning cross was. So the average was closer than I was to the winning cross. So there was some logic to that. So why did I pick where I'd gone? Well, what I did, once I finished making the video on Saturday, I took out all the crosses that I'd put in throughout the week. Then I put the average back in, and I picked 3 of our regular players that I know every week are either close to being runners up or nearly always in zone 1, and I put their coordinates in. So I had 4 coordinates, the average and the 3 that they submitted. I worked out the average of those 4, and then I put my cross there. So that's why I ended up where I did. Let's have a look at the judging. So the judging, very, very widespread this week, but only down to a couple of outliers, shall we say. So if you look at the guy, now I realise I'm in no position to be judging you, considering I had no clue at all, but I'm still going to do it. So the guy on the left here, they've put his bottom of his eyesight going across there and up there. This one here, I can't see that at all. As somebody pointed out, this guy'd have to be looking through his eyelid to be able to see that far. That's almost, well, it is. It's the side of his head. Couldn't possibly be that far left. And neither could it really be that high. So that's obviously got to go. There's 2 further over here to the right. Now, I know I'm colourblind, but I can just barely see that one there. I think that's a valid cross myself, even though it's away from the cluster. You'd have to look through sort of the cluster to get to it. So it's all right for the majority of people think his eye line is. And I always thought that the ball was further right anyway. If you remember the first video I did, I was over here somewhere because I couldn't see that he was looking up in this area. But everybody else thought he was, so I had to go with the majority, didn't I? And as for this one down here, I think that's also feasible to me, because I thought he was looking further right anyway, and it's not an unusual thought to think that he could be looking as low as that. So that one on the top left's got to go. It's ridiculous. But these other 2, I'm not so sure about. In fact, without that one there, those 2 there would bring the average further over to the right anyway, where we all think it should have been. So let's see what they actually did. So this is the end result. Now, as you can see, they've taken out Alan's cross, Andy's cross, and Wendy's cross. And look how close this cluster is now. There's 4 on the right here, and they've left that one in on the left. And I think, yeah, you couldn't really have taken that out. It was quite close. Even though if you'd taken that out, it would have been even further to the right, I suppose. But that's such a close cluster now with taking those other 3 outliers out. So I think Matt did the right thing there by taking out all 3 of them, because it got the cluster down really, really close. So no complaints about. Yeah, I didn't think the judging was that good, but I think Matt did the best he could with it by removing the 3 sort of outsiders out of there. Right, what do we think of this week then? Because first glance it looks bonkers. Now, I didn't have a clue last week, which is why I had to ask you guys for help. And the idea of doing the Saturday update was intended as a one-off, although a few of you had said you hope it's a regular thing. I'm definitely going to have to do it this week, because I can't make head nor tail of this picture, because only one of them seems to be looking up at the ball. So if you look at the picture, this guy in the blue is looking up somewhere. We'll draw some lines in a minute. And the other guy just seems to be looking at his side of his head or his face or whatever. Now, I prefer to go by the eyes. I think the judges talk too much about body language and, yeah, the ball's coming down from the sky and a lot of nonsense just to pad out, to make it look like they know what they're talking about. But if you do look at the body language in this, well, this guy in the blue on the left here, if you look at his right hand, he's just thrown a dart at the photographer. If you look at his left arm, he's elbowing Hitler's grandson in the chest, while Goering and Goebbels are in the background looking on. and I just can't figure out what this guy is looking at, the guy in the white. So let's draw some lines and see if I can figure out what's going on here. So his eyeball is looking at that sort of way. If you look at the angle of his head though, I mean, he's not tilting it that far back. He's looking in front of him and up, of course, yeah. So initially I'm going there, and then let's have a look at his left eye. See, he's out in that direction somewhere. But this guy down here, he's not. He's looking over here at his face. His nose, well, it might look ridiculous to you where I've drawn them lines, but I can't see how he can be looking up at the ball. So I'm definitely going to need your help here, guys, because all I've got is the one guy looking up in the sky and no way of cross-referencing it to figure out where it goes. So let's do the same thing again this week, if it's okay with you guys. Just send in your coordinate, just one coordinate, just reply to the post that I'll pin to the top. And then I'll add them through the week then, and then Saturday we'll have another look. And I'll do it early-ish on Saturday morning because I think people like to have a look at it over the weekend. To be fair, that Saturday video done really well. I put it online about midday on Saturday, and it was only really valid up until midnight on Sunday, because that's when the competition would have closed. But in 18 hours, it got nearly 900 views. So there's a lot of interest in where the average was going to be. Anyway, if you don't mind doing that for me, guys, just send me another coordinate that we can try and figure out on Saturday morning where we're going to put, or where I'm going to put my one cross, because I'm not playing more than my free ticket this week. I just don't think it's going to be worth it, because if we're going to struggle with this, we know the judges are going to have no chance. Anyway, thanks guys, good luck, and I'll speak to you in the comments. Thanks everyone.